for some of you, this is something that you already guys know, but we do have a lot of new members from time to time joining in. So what I wanted to do today is quickly run through a couple of things to know whenever you're starting off with the FP20 analytics challenges. So one of the things is, of course, remember that there are two submission kind of categories, right? One of them is for the main FP20 analytics challenge, and one is for the mini challenge for Zoom charts. Now, if you want to submit for the mini challenge, you need to do it through our website. You're going to have the form here. But there's another thing that we as ZoomCharts provide to you throughout these challenges, and that is something that we call the developer's license. Now, in order to get the developer's license, there are a couple of ways. You can sign in with your own emails. You can use your Microsoft accounts, for example. I'm going to use my Microsoft account. Of course, I'm showcasing this live, so it's going to be slow because why not? So once I log in, I'm going to say, yes, I want to sign up for the challenge. And the second thing I'm going to see here, in my case, you can see it says see my license. For those of you who haven't done this before, you're going to have get my developer's license. The developer's license is a special account that we create from our side for you. And that account has assigned all the licenses necessary to use the Zoom charts visuals. Sure, they have some limitations in sense of sharing them forward afterwards, but for developing the reports, for creating the submissions and everything, you don't have to worry about anything, right? All of that is covered. Now, one thing to quickly cover as well. Once you click on the email license, you can see this email, right? So this is just randomly generated email from the system. That's your account, new name, account name. And there's going to be a password. I can show you the password because this password is only going to be available, or it's going to be valid for the first time when you log in. Pay attention to this, to the first time. Once you log in for the first time, you're going to be prompted to change this password. So write down your new password or memorize whatever you change it, because afterwards this is not going to change. This is also a security concern for us, right? So we don't want to have these publicly available. So only these are just the initial passwords. So if you come back like a month later, forget your password and going to try to see the one here, that's not going to be the same one, right? This is just the initial password. You can, of course, request reset password and so forth, but just something to take a note of. Now, why is this account necessary? Whenever you open up Power BI Desktop, on the top right corner, I would open up Power BI Desktop, but for me, it just decided to, I don't know, don't work today. So on the top right corner, you're going to have sign in option. So this is the account you use for it, right? That account is going to have all the licenses for the visuals, like I said. So this is the reason why you have the developer's license. And then, of course, once you have done the report, everything's fine, you can submit it right here. A few other things to take a note of. If you already have been doing these challenges for quite a while, you already know this. But on the challenge pages, you have a couple of things that we recommend you to quickly go through. For example, how to participate if this is the first time, just so you can understand what is necessary, and so forth. The brief is something that I always recommend to look through. The main reason for this is because whenever you first look at a data set, some of you might have ideas on how to tackle this, what to analyze, and what to showcase, right? Some of you might not have any ideas straight away. So the brief is one way or one place where you can kind of look and have few ideas. Oh, okay, these are some of the views I could try to analyze. You don't have to analyze them. You can go for a completely different route. These are just some ideas, so there's something for everybody to kind of go for, right? But you can go for some completely different direction. That's one of the cool things about the challenges. I think Federico, you can agree with me, right? It's
Correct.
good to have some guidance, but you have completely free availability on how you want to do this and how you want to analyze the report. So that's up to you. Uh, Also, for the data set itself, if you want to enhance it somehow, you're more than welcome to do it. We don't limit you in that way. If you want to create some separate groups, some additional information want to add, anything, go ahead. Be our guest, make it more interesting and more fun. And last but not least, there's judging criteria. So you also know what is being evaluated, how we're going through the reports, and what we're analyzing. And of course, if you have any other questions, if you want to try to get some input on the report or the feedback or anything, don't forget that you also have the option of signing up for one-on-one mentoring sessions. Those are 15-minute slots, so we have to be kind of rapid when we're going through them. But it is an option to jump in a call, quickly go through things, at least give you a guidance, give you a direction of where to look for things, or sometimes we can easily resolve things, right? Because one of the benefits of, for example, jumping in a call with me is I've been working with ZoomCharts visuals for 8 years. So a lot of things I already know how to do it, and I can do it rather quickly. Whereas for new audience, it sometimes takes a little bit longer just to kind of get acquainted with what is possible, right? So there's a lot of different things that you can do. You can also look through the previous webinar recordings. There's different sample reports that you can find. There's a lot of other interesting information that you can utilize to kind of give you a step. Um, did I forget anything, Federico?
No, I think you actually make clear everything properly.
All right, there we go. So yeah, that goes for that. The data set you can also get here. You can also get the data set on the FP20 Analytics page. So whichever you have bookmarked or which whenever is closer to you, go and get it there. The developer's license, sessions, calendar. What's the deadline? The deadline for submission is going to be the 24th of September. Recommendation for this is always going to be do not leave the report for the very last day. Because remember, whenever you submit a report, what we do from our side is we give you personalized feedback on what we think could have been improved in the current version of the report, right? If you all do it on the last day, well, you have to understand we're just humans, right? So we can't review all of them, give you the feedback, do it in a very fast, rapid pace. So by sending the report a little bit earlier, it gives you enough time to receive the feedback, to change the report, and resubmit it if you want to, right? So that's the one thing. And then of course on the 30th, me and Federico are going to be waiting. We're going to have a special guest as well, right? On the 30th, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
We got
So
Jasmine with us.
there we go. So on the 30th as well, don't forget to register for the session, and that's going to be the top 5 announcement. So on the top 5 announcements, we go through the reports that we have put into the top 5, and we go through the reports and explain what are the good things, what are some of the bad things, or what are some of the things that could have been done differently. So it's just basically a feedback session. I would say it's more of a feedback session where you can see how we're thinking, how we're testing the reports, how we're playing around with different buttons and everything. So it's a very cool session also to kind of look into, especially if you're starting off to kind of see what we're paying attention to. All right, yeah, but that's very broad explanation of everything. um, from what to expect from today, there are going to be 3 things basically. First is I'm going to give the floor also to Federico. So Federico is going to be talking about a little bit more about the data set and going to give you some tips and tricks formulas. And I've heard that Federico is probably going to tell it later, but there's also a nice gift that Federico has prepared for you guys. So
Yeah.
that's very cool as well. Throughout the session, from time to time, you're going to see that we have a feedback form being the link to or the QR code being published for the feedback. And if you're submitting the feedback and telling us what you think about the sessions and everything, you have a chance to participate in a giveaway for Pact for and book. So if you're starting off, or even if you're already, an intermediate or even advanced user of Power BI, some data analytical books are always more than welcome, right? So that's an amazing opportunity for you guys as well. And at the very end, I'm going to go quickly through some visual setups that I think are going to be beneficial for the session. And of course, there's going to be a Q&A session at the end if you have questions. If there's not going to be any, well, we can always think of something, but it's much more interesting if you have those questions. All right, Federico, you ready?
I think so, yes. Let's go.
All
Can
right.
I share? Yeah, I can share. Okay. Let me see where I am. Yeah. And I'm sharing.
Yep, we can see it now.
Okay, let me guys tell you I have just a little bit of time this morning to prepare a couple of things. And I went to the dataset this morning, tried to make a model with it. And it wasn't that easy. So you have 2 options, okay? Try to connect the table that they are connectable in a one-to-many relationship, simulating a star schema. And if you see any of these table doesn't match to any of the other, you can work with that table, okay, independently. Okay, so what I did is actually, why is this so big? I'm gonna tell you what I did. I actually, in the fact performance, I merged two tables: the KPI score and the performance tables. Okay, I did it very quickly, so I don't know if that will be the best solution, but I want you to take into account ideas you can have, okay, or do to make a better model. And then I managed to relate the dataset like this. It's no ideal. I would have preferred to spend more time on it, but I have been very tight on time. Okay. Another thing that a lot of people ask me is, Federico, I'm not familiar with human resources, or how do we do with employees' performance? What do? I don't. Neither. Okay, I go in so many different type of reporting that it's difficult for me to be an specialist in just one. Okay, in this example, what I did this morning was to throw the data set into an AI, ChatGPT. It's not ChatGPT, and I'm not going to tell you which one I use. It's secret. It's for me. Okay, and I said, okay, I have no clue about employee performance. What can I do? Okay, can you give me ideas? Can you tell me how to model it? How you tell me how can I make DAX, and what DAX do you suggest? Okay, and it gave me a list of, it gave me a lot actually on how to model the data set and DAX measures. Okay, so here on the screen you have just some basics. Okay, and let me also open that here. You got the measures in a measures table, and you had them properly in single folders. Do we know how to do that? I think so. Yes. But in case you do not, let me do a measure called hello. Yes, hello world. Okay. That is my measure. I have to go to the data modeling view, select the measure, open the property panel, and in display folder say hello metric, or whatever name you want to give it. Yes. Okay, and now you have your folder with that measure. Think about, you want to create within that folder another folder to make sure you have subfolders in the folder. Let me create another measure. I'm gonna call it hello 2, and this is gonna be hello world 2. Okay, think about, you want this, okay, to be in a different folder. If I'm not wrong, I think it's that one. No, maybe it's the slash or the other way. Hello 2. Is that one? Okay, there you go. No, it's not that one. Okay, if that happened to you, don't worry. Just do that, and it will now come back properly. So it's the slash for that side. And now you have, okay, your folder with your measures and subfolder to make sure you have your measures properly, okay, placed, okay, organized. So ChatGPT is not ChatGPT. It told me to get the total records. Total record give me the total number of rows in the data set. It's important for me to know, okay, because I can be used also as a verification. Why I'm having this problem? I got this so many rows. Why is that and that? It's telling me the active employees and the count of employees. Very simple. Okay, but remember, I haven't done anything. I told ChatGPT to do for me. But I said, Federico, is that okay? So if I come to the table view, where is that one? And I go there, I know that there is exactly 2003, 200,000, 36, no, 236,591 rows. Perfect. That's okay. And I know that there are 7,086 distinct values. That is more or less where I go online. Okay. So it helped me to verify my information. I can verify by using the tables in the tables view. Allow me to do some averages, simple. More averages, I don't like this. I've been running all around. And also employment satisfaction. Guys, you can get some more averages one, the way you are going to keep working. Then it gives me another category, performance category. And that's something that you can decide what are the high performers. That is another one. I got the high performance. In this occasion, I decided to go for the performance rated 5 or higher. Okay, but you can play with that. Your company or your report have a 3.5 as a high performance. You can adapt it. I follow on that. I copy and paste. And I say, okay, give me a low performance. And give me a mid performance. So now I got 3 different type of people or employees that are performing at different rate. Okay, and you can measure it. Okay, and then I did another one. Why I don't get a category? Okay, where that will be, I didn't have time to change this number, but you will change this number as your high, low, and mid performance. So now I create another category. That is when you are equal or greater than 4.5, you are excellent. If you are equal or greater than 3.5, you are good. And if you are greater than or equal than 2.5, you are average. I have already created another category that is not based on number. You now can call excellent employees, good employees, average employees. Okay? Then this line, and then we have more metrics. That is the total salary. I don't think that is nothing difficult. It should be a Zoom X. Okay, make sure everything is. Do you know what is syntax sugar, guys? Anyone have heard the expression syntax sugar? Just leave something in the chat. But basically, when you use the expression Zoom without the X, that is syntax sugar. The engine behind, okay, is gonna always do a Zoom X. And there are many other functions or measures that are syntax sugar, okay, but behind the scene, the engine will create an aggregate, yeah, I think so, function, okay, for you to know. So when you do a Zoom without the X, the engine converts it to a Zoom X. Monthly bonus, very simple guide formulas. Benefit, bonus as a percentage. Well, Damilola, now you go with syntax sugar, okay? And average salary level, using an average and all except So get everything, but don't get this information. Okay, if you are new in DAC, you need to know the family of all except, etc. Okay, to apply your filtering. Calculate, that is the king of Power BI, something that I try to avoid using. I prefer a different method that is called the non-calculate method by Greg Deckler. Okay, and make it simpler for me to understand that. I'm a report designer, guys. I don't like to do that. Okay, I do it. I have to do it. And understanding, I normally get to what I have to get to. Okay, but not my forte. So, okay, my friend AI, what else can I do? Turnover and retention, and you have a number of formulas there that will go to the turnover and retention. Okay, you go 1, 2, 3, 4 more formulas, measures. Okay, by the way, I think you can get the PBI. Alexandra most probably will tell you how you can get a copy of the PBI, so you have a lot of that ready for you, and you can find your approach to the challenge. You got training and development. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, different measures. You got training hour, training ROI, employee with training, and the one that didn't have it. Time and attendance. More measures. Productivity and KPIs. And you can see that all tables, all measures depart from the fact perform table. There's the main fact table. Achievement rate, performance KPI, productivity index, manager's effectiveness, how good is your manager? I don't think any manager is good anyway. But there you go. Store and department analysis. We have different departments and different store in the data set. You can also work on a site, a page, about the location of the store, the performing of these stores. Trend analysis, what is going on. For rolling 3 months, and that is a big one. Performance versus previous month, simple, but it's a big one. Promotion and career, okay, you got promotion rate, you got salary increase rate, etc. In this data set, and in the file you have all the information, okay? You might need to change the name of your fact table if you don't use the same one, but you have plenty of ideas to what to do or how to orient your analysis for this challenge, okay? In your 3 pages. I think there was a question about 2 pages or 3 pages. You have 3 pages. Don't waste it on an intro page. It's pointless. Okay, so I think you got enough that and information here to go create a proper employee performance analysis for this challenge. And that is for me today. I think, guys, important, remember to have your measures always well organized. There are 2 little methodologies. There are the people that prefer to, if I'm talking about employees, I'm gonna put all my measures in the employee table, and then you can fold the measures too in this table. If my measure is about stores, I'm gonna put all my measure of the store in this table and create my folders within these tables, or the most normally used, the creating a measures table and further and so further. It's up to you. There is no benefit one or the other. How you better understand yourself and how you work, and I think both approaches are right. I find not difficult but challenging when I have 100 measures or 150 measures where they are. Anyway, no matter how well I try to organize, at some point it's gonna be out of control because you have 150 measures. Okay, so try to keep your measures organized. If you create a measure and this is not gonna be used, delete it automatically. Okay, try your best and have a proper go at it. Abe, that is for me today.
All right. Uh, yeah, from my side, what I could say is regarding the DAX measures. There's one other, there are a few other
Abe,
common. Yeah.
your camera is off, mate.
Uh, Camera hidden. Alexandra, can you put my camera on? There we go.
Yeah, how do I?
Yeah. So from my side, what I would also recommend regarding the DAX is there's few other things that are typically recommended, but one of them is if you're new to Power BI and new to DAX, one of the things that helped me in the beginning is commenting measures, actually explaining to myself what I was doing with this measure, right? Because one of the things that a lot of people are going to do is they're going to name the measure like MOM, 3 months, whatever it is, right? But you don't really, for example, from that abbreviated text, fully understand what it does. So one of the things that you can do in DAX is if you put like two minus signs, yeah, I think it was the minus signs, it gives you the right to write a comment. So the text becomes green and it's ignored by the formula itself. So this allows you, for example, for certain lines to describe, okay, what am I doing with this measure? Why am I adding this here? What is this condition? What does it do? Or even at the end of the measure itself, just write what the measure is about, right? You don't have to do it. I just telling from my experience, this is something that helped me in the beginning because naming a measure is one thing, but fully understanding what it does, it's a different thing. So all these little things might help you in the future. What else? I'm gonna quickly share my screen. So a few other things that I wanted to go through. Um, Based on the feedback from the previous challenge, there actually were a lot of questions regarding conditional formatting, right? And conditional formatting is something that we allow you to do with our visuals in different shapes and forms. So, thanks to our content team, we actually have a full blog about just conditional formatting. You can find it also in the website, just resources, blog, and you can see there's different blog posts. But for example, for just the conditional formatting, the reason why we wanted to create this is let me just scroll through, right? So you can see we have some basic conditional formatting, the fonts, the labels, the outlines can be conditionally formatted. There's different ways on how to format them. There's different coloring modes that we're applying. So there's a lot of things that we try to do with the conditional formatting, and we do understand that if you're just starting off, it might all be just a little bit too much, right? So this is why we're creating these sort of blog posts, and this is why we want to hear your feedback, because based on that feedback, we also know what additional information we need to prepare from our side. Anything that helps you guys to figure out specific functions, how specific features work, let us know about it, right? We can prepare those as long as it makes sense, right? If you're just gonna ask me, hey, how do I make this line purple? I'm probably not gonna make that into a blog post. But if it's something a little bit more general where I can talk to a multitude of audience at the same time, this is definitely something that we can do from our side. But yeah, like you see, we can conditionally format outlines, the labels, the placements, and just a bunch of different things. So if you go through all of it, it kind of feels more like an essay, not just a regular blog post. There's a lot of information here. But for this challenge, one of the reasons why I also wanted to mention the conditional formatting is because one of the things that we have in the data set is, if I just drag it from here, is for example, right here, we have a sheet called business outcomes, right? And we have two different numerical values, the target and the actual. So it's something that you can compare one against the other. Now, how do I compare one against the other? There are different ways on how you can do this. The most typical one that people usually try to do is, for example, something like this. Let's go for a timeline visual. So if I go for a timeline visual, I'm gonna need a date hierarchy and a date, and I'm gonna need two values. In my case, this is gonna be payout and budget. As you can see, the data set is a little bit different because, like I said, Power BI Desktop decided to flake on me today, so using services and existing samples. But a very simple approach is using something just as simple as this, just a clustered column chart, right? Comparing one against the other. You can play around, of course, also with additional things like spacing to make the clusters more prominent, for example. So there's a lot of different things on how you can kind of play around with this. But one of the things that we allow you to do is, and for those of you who have played around with this a bit more, know that we have these 25 different series. And those 25 different series are values that you are able to showcase in one way or another. So what I'm going to be doing with these ones is actually starting to customize this. So I'm going to say that series 2, which is the budget, is actually going to be stacked on series 1. So you can see we can stack any series on any series. So that's already creating a lot of different combinations. But if I do this and not change anything else, most of you will look at this and be like, okay, that makes absolutely zero sense because you can't really put them together. It's a value that you're comparing one against the other. You can't really sum them up, makes no sense. I agree. This is why the second thing that I would do is just go ahead and say that this stacking is going to be zero based. Now, once I do that, suddenly one of the columns completely disappeared. And I can explain why. If we look at the setup, we have series 1 and series 2, which also means that there is some drawing order of this series. So what the chart is basically doing, right? Zero stack means that both of those columns are starting from a 0 point, exactly the same location. So what happens is I'm drawing the first column, and then series 2 is being drawn in front of it. So it kind of hides the yellow columns. So through the formatting options, I can do something like this. I can go to series 1, which is the yellow column, which is now hidden. And I can say that, hey, I'm actually going to find a property called display order. I'm going to increase the display order, meaning that I'm bringing it to the front of the other one. Now, since they're both the same width, it's kind of hard to understand whether this is normal stack or zero based stack. So in order to help the users, I can do something like this and say that, hey, the width of the yellow column is actually going to be something like 50%, right? And I can use that as a reference. So this is how much we got. This is how much we had budgeted. If you don't like this approach where there's columns within columns, okay, go with a different one. Go back to 100 and say that there's actually going to be an outline. The outline is going to be, for example, thickness of 2. You don't really see it because it's yellow and yellow right now. But if I remove the fill color opacity, so I make the column transparent, but I only leave the outline, and the outline is going to be something more prominent, for example, something like black, increase the thickness. So you just start to play around with these things, right? So what I'm essentially doing is kind of creating a box within which the other column is being filled up. And for the other one, I'm going to be like, okay, let's put it like 95%, for example, maybe even less, 85%, just so we can kind of see that it's sort of a box, right? So you can play around with these different formatting options. This is one way on how you can kind of compare how much we have filled up things. The other thing that you can do is don't forget that you have the conditional formatting. So for example, if I start to combine this with a few other things, I could say that, hey, series 1 is actually going to be conditionally formatted. Actually, not series. Yeah, series 1. I think it was. Yeah, series 1 was the one. So I want to conditionally format the fill color or the outline. I could also conditionally format the outline, so that's another thing. But if I conditionally format the fill, I'm going to change the origin of the values to be another series, and I'm going to be referencing series 2. So suddenly now everything is in red, right? But then you also have to think about the logical aspect of it. Conditional formatting usually applies to, higher or lower. In this case, since I'm comparing the actual payouts versus a budget, if I'm under the budget, it's a good thing. It means we saved money, we didn't spend as much as we wanted to. So it's not bad. So what I have to do is just I have to reverse the rules basically, right? I'm just switching up the colors. Whereas if I go to a smaller segmentation, we can see that there are still going to be areas, for example, in a couple of months, where we have actually spent more than we had budgeted. You can combine this with other visuals, like for example, I could add something very simple like a donut chart right next to it, which would have things like departments, regions, or regions by departments, doesn't really matter. Make everything based on a value, and then just start the cross filtering experience. You can see on a yearly basis, seems good. We're not over the budget any of the years. We can try to see in quarters. Okay, there's a couple of them. In months, there's probably going to be more. Uh, if you want to know how much is the difference, right? Because if I hover over it, 12K versus 9K, okay, there's like a 3K difference, but I have to calculate those things. Just create another series, which would be, for example, something like a difference. You could add it physically as a series, or you can just go ahead and add it in the tooltip content field. The tooltip content just allows you to reference the value in the tooltip. So if I go back to one particular year, for example, split it down to months, in the brackets, I can see exactly how much is the difference. So I don't have to do that mental juggling and figuring out the numbers. You can also add it as a label on top of things, conditionally format that. So I think it's just one of the dimensions that you can analyze here. Because remember, we have 5 different pages, right? There's different dimensions that you can go through. You can go through the timeline itself, you can go through physical entities like stores or managers, see their performances and so forth. So there's a lot of things that you can do here. This is just one of the ideas that you can essentially utilize. Cross-chart filtering is just one of the things that allows you to kind of create a report which can start off as a quick overview but allow you to drill down into smaller details. um, Usually what a lot of people do is they create a lot of slicers, which I'm not against, but one thing that I usually say is you have to remember one thing, that sometimes too much is too much, right? And if you can add it as a visual representation, it also provides you a little bit more context. Just as a comparison, right? Let's say if I'm going for departments versus departments, these two now do exactly the same thing. In a come on, let me move you. There we go.
The three dot, you click on the three dot, it always move it. That one. That doesn't fail.
Ah, man, I've been struggling with the container for the
That is
whole
the
month.
trick. That is the trick, right?
This should be part of the basic training.
That this came out about 2 or 3 years ago, and one of my friends in Enterprise DNA actually found out. Um, I think we share it internally, and people start
Oh my
picking it up,
god,
but it didn't reach everywhere. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's a
It's
game
great.
changer.
It's great. Yeah, it's crazy.
See, this is how much you can see that how much there's still hidden secrets in Power BI. I've been doing this for 8 years, and I didn't know this. It's the same as, if you probably, Federico,
Yeah,
you remember as well, the first time that you figured out that there's actually search under the ellipsis.
yeah, yeah.
That was a game changer
The-
as well. But I was like, come on, there can be a
and the
slicer
and
which you can.
the exclude, you can exclude. You select something, you can exclude it just by clicking exclude, and that filter
Oh
will
yeah,
not show up. But we will
this
do
one, yeah.
everything we have to do, but to use the easiest way out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of different interesting things that you can actually find in forums and everything. Because one of the things that I usually recommend to do as well is, if you come into a case where you get stuck on something, you can always ask the community, right? Don't worry about being kind of not knowing how to do it. It doesn't matter. Trust me, there's people with years of experience who just don't focus on, for let's say, one specific visual, so they don't know how to do it. And you can just ask. That's what the community is for. And whilst you're searching for a lot of issues, trust me, you're gonna sometimes find very unique approaches on how to resolve things, and be like, oh damn, I could definitely use that in a completely different sense, but that's a neat approach to somehow solve one particular thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting things that you can find. But yeah, like I was saying, right? You could add slicers, for example, with drop downs and everything. But at the same time, I might as well create it as a visual. And this provides me not only with the list of things, but it also gives me context. Okay, what is the department that actually gets paid out the most? Right? So you're combining two different things. This allows you also to make the report a lot more interactive in a sense that people can start to click on things, they can start to interact, cross filter. And this is one of the reasons why, whenever you're going to be submitting a report to our mini challenge, one of the first feedbacks that everybody's going to probably get most of the times is, please create a reset button. It feels very simple, but is one of the most crucial things in every single report. You can very easily get lost in Power BI reports if they're created interactively. Slicers, visuals, drill downs, and everything all combined, and then suddenly I don't even know what I'm looking at. So reset just allows you to start from clean slate. Yeah, this is one of the things. Um, Something that you might have, and this is, I know we usually say that, hey, we like you to use visuals instead of tables and kind of recreating Excel. That still stands, but in some cases you would still like to, for example, have a table at the end. And there are different ways on how you can utilize this. You could, of course, just, for example, I could use the same approach that I had here, convert that into a table. I can just have a date itself. So, for example, something like that. I don't like the hierarchy because usually hierarchy just takes a lot of the space.
Space.
So I just usually go for just regular dates. Maybe change the format of the date. If you don't need the timestamp, remove the timestamp. And so clean it up a little bit, right? But it allows you to kind of still have that row level context for everything. But it does take a lot of space. So one thing that you can do is you can actually download this PBIX as well. So if you go to resources, report examples, made by ZoomCharts, there's probably a challenge participant who's done similar things as well. This one, depth analysis, is the one that was created a while ago, but it still stands as a very good one. If I open that up, there's one particular thing that I wanted to showcase here. So remember when I said sometimes you want to see it as a table, even though you don't have a lot of space, right? So one of the things that we've done here is, if I just simply switch to a table, you can see all the entries are here. But with a little bit of magic of playing around with bookmarks and making sure that data is unchecked or checked in different variations, I can do the following. I can say that, hey, I'm actually want to see on a monthly basis. Okay, I can see there's some invoices already scheduled for December. I highlight that part. That sends out the filter. And if I switch to a table through bookmarks, I've set it up so that it doesn't remove the filter. So I can see exactly those invoices that I'm talking about right now. And I'm doing this in the same space that I just had the timeline, right? The reason why this is so applicable is because sometimes you do want to get to that row level data. You can also do this with drill through, for example, and take them to a different page. There's different variations on how to approach these things. The reason why I just wanted to show you this is, as much as me and Federico love field parameters and everything, right? We also want you to try out new things. At this point, I think most of you have figured out how to use field parameters. If not, still an amazing tool. Definitely try it out. But try out something else. See what else is possible with Power BI. You're not always going to be using all of the things that we talk about or showcase to you, but the more you know, the more you have played around, the more ideas you have for the next project. And me and Federico have said this hundreds of times. We have our own folders, which is just a dump of different sketches, mock-ups of things that we have played around with, tested out in different variations. And whenever a case comes up with, oh, I know I created something like that, so I just go back to that report, see, okay, I did this, and that. Okay, now apply this to the new report, right? So you just basically create small little template files for yourself.
There is nothing wrong in exploring. The
Yeah,
problem is when you abuse the exploration. If you like bookmark and you do it with theme measure, it's okay to have a. I on the view of Victor Rivas, I think he is in the chat today. That
yeah.
I try to avoid a bookmark as much as possible, but sometimes because the client asked for it, I have to play with them. Okay,
Hmm.
and so I need to know how they work anyway. So I need to work around with them. And even if I'm gonna try to avoid them, it's important for you to learn how they work. Okay, and also for you to encounter the difficulties of what happens if I have 3 or 4 different bookmarks in the same page doing different things that you have now to synchronize how the bookmark affect one and the other, because a bookmark is no more, no less than a picture in time,
Yeah.
okay, than a screen. So you need to learn how to do that. And I think it's a good challenge actually to say, okay, I'm gonna build today the bookmark and see what happens and
Yeah.
see how can I finish, just for your experience. And the second thing is about tables. We are more and more being asked to create a page with a table, important table with most of the data in the visual page, or create a bookmark with a table. Why? Because most people are coming from Excel. And because they are coming from Excel, they are used to the table. They are not yet used to see line charts and donut chart or pie charts. Okay, so they still want to see the table. Saying that, if we create a table, we have to make a. I mean, the table in the screen for me, the rows are too close to each other. We give it some space.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I will try to clean it up a little bit so they can see the information the way they like it, but you're gonna do a lot of tables still in Power BI.
Yeah. It's the same as for this table, right? For example, in this case, we had a request where they wanted to see the amount first, whereas typically you have the numbers at the end, so it kind of fills the text, and then there's the numbers, so there's order to things and everything. You can also see there's the company column is just massive, whereas it could probably be a lot smaller, then have a little bit more room for the actual values for so you can space things out. You can play around with these things. But playing around with things and exploring things is just like Federico said. It gives you ideas and different unique approaches on how to handle situations. You don't have to abuse them all the time. Because trust me, one of the worst thing is definitely when you have a report with like tens of different bookmarks, and then suddenly 2 3 months down the road somebody says, "Hey, we're actually doing this and that. Can you update all the bookmarks?" It's a complete nightmare.
No, 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 no. It's more than that because if you transfer to me your report, I will not understand how did you prepare the bookmark at all because there is
True.
no
Yeah.
commenting. At least there is a documentation that tell me in writing, and I have to have that documentation in another screen reading it. It will be very difficult for me to know how you create all this bookmark. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that simple. And I hate that when something come to me with 10 or 15 or 20 bookmarks. And now,
You mean like this, Federico? Wait, wait, wait.
yeah, like that. If I know that, I will not talk to you anymore in my life.
Hey,
No, no.
from the customer
There is
side,
one thing. There is one thing very important that you can see their group. Okay.
yeah,
Now, when you group, you can hide a whole of them in one go because they are group. So playing with that, you make it easier. That is what I told you or try to explain. Play with them. See what you can do because you might have 20, but it's only four group of five. And then by having one group, you hide all the bookmark of that group. Okay. And it's easier for you to work around. But yes, I will not know. And I'm most precisely talking about when you have four main visual in a page and everyone have different bookmark.
hmm,
You need to synchronize that all that. When I touch that, I don't want that to be affected, but I want this to be affected. So you start trying to synchronize that is not easy. I will try to avoid it if I can. The only
yeah,
bookmark I use in every challenge is the filter.
reset,
Okay,
yeah.
select reset filter, reset filter. There you go. Best bookmark ever.
It's a golden rule. No, that is a golden rule. It has to be in all the reports. In our case, the reason why we have so many is because we went with a different approach. So what we're doing is we're actually hiding the navigation itself. So, and because of this, this is a new
Oh, yeah.
menu. So on every new page, it has to be a new bookmark. Different elements are being brought in and so forth. But it's all something you play around with. One of the things that I also recommend to play around with bookmarks and to understand is the difference between page navigation and bookmark. It might not seem like there's a big difference, but there is a one distinct difference. And I can for example show you quickly what it is, right? Let's say I open up the menu right here, and I'm going to keep it open, but I'm going to use the navigations, which are bookmarks in this case. I'm going to go to the next page, and I'm going to come back. You can see the menu is closed. If I would use page navigation for these arrows, I would open up the menu. This is what the page navigation and basically ties. I go to a different page and then I come back. But because the bookmark wasn't triggered, the menu is still open.
It's still on.
So there is a difference between the elements. You need to understand how they interact with each other, what they do, what they don't do, what needs to be taken into account, and so forth. So it's a matter of understanding just the basics of things. Sure, it might seem annoying at first. We trust me, we totally get it. But it is something you need to understand.
Avi, I think we
Yeah.
have quite a few questions, so
Yeah,
maybe
if you
we
have
jump
questions, let's
onto
let's go for the
the
questions.
question. Throw the question, Alex.
How do we submit?
Yeah.
Two ways of submitting, I guess, right? One is through the FP20 Analytics page or the community, LinkedIn. And the other one is if you're submitting to the mini challenge. If you're submitting to the mini challenge, then you would need to go to our website. Are the datasets one can access freely too?
Yes, Alex,
Yeah.
you can put my website, but you can get it in ZoomCharts, but you get my page on there. So if we go to Light Challenge, for example, there you have the challenges, the data set, what you have to do, and everything. And if you go to the other page of data set, actually, I updated this morning. The top you have to go at the top.
Dataset
You can
linkage.
download it. That is the current challenge.
Yeah.
If you go to the main menu,
Okay, at the top. Got it.
yeah,
Shwook. Datasets.
there you go. You go to data set. I actually updated this morning and I just pick up a mistake, but you have
Ah.
30 different data set in there.
Oh, that's cool.
And you see this morning I actually
This is the
updated
latest,
it. That 29 and then 26 should be 30. I just realized that, but that's the current we have. Okay, I need to change a
yeah.
couple of things here.
It's a typo, guys. We're all human.
No, I did it quickly. Do we need to do a 2-page? You can do Pavani a 3-page. I think that the last
Yeah.
challenge is
The
three
rules are.
pages. If by any chance I think in my site say 3 pages. If in the
Yeah, it's also in
download
us.
data say 2 pages because I use an old brief or whatever, by 3 pages. And don't waste it on introduction page, please.
Yeah, and one thing to mention here is you do not have to use all 3 pages. The limit is three
Yeah.
pages. You can create an amazing report with just 1 page or just 2 pages, whatever you want. For the mini challenge, there is a requirement that there's at least 2 ZoomChart visuals in a single page. That is the one. But as far as the number of pages goes, you cannot exceed 3. It can be a 1 page, 2 page, 3 page, up to you.
Okay.
Community,
You
LinkedIn.
can put the link in the chat, Alex, from my community. I don't know if you have it. Join the challenges group, but Damilola, in the website you can also join. Yeah, there you go.
Sure.
If
Going
you go
up.
to the main page,
Oh, right here.
actually you got it there. Yeah, I think that will take you to.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, that take you there. You just join.
So just on the FP20 Analytics page, top right here, click on LinkedIn. That's going to take you to the page.
You need to apply to, and I will allow you to get in, and you will be part of the community.
Yeah. Of course, we first of all, Federico does the due diligence, right? He sees, okay, what can this guy do? Okay, maybe, nah, I don't know.
No, don't like the guy. Don't like the guy. No, you're not coming in. No. Everybody, I would like to say something about it. That a lot of people is applying to the community, but because they are in many other communities, LinkedIn doesn't allow me to approve. Okay, so I say deny, but I'm not denying you. I'm telling you basically, hey, you are in too many other communities, so LinkedIn doesn't allow you to be in another one. So you get rid of one of the other community, and automatically you will join the new community.
Okay, that's a new one. I didn't know actually this one. So you
Yes.
live, you learn.
I'm gonna have. I think we have a couple of tutorials with ZoomCharts about Hanette, about some Figma mini, very quick tutorials I did about it. And remember, we are trying to use Figma to create background. It's not about learning the whole Figma product. It's too much, but there is a couple of things on Figma in the videos in Sunshine that might be of your interest.
I think I don't remember which one.
I
We
can't
can
remember
actually.
neither. I think in your YouTube page it is somewhere there.
Oh,
My
then
face
yeah,
show.
also on the YouTube. Because there is one workshop where Federico specifically went through how to create a template with Figma. So it's an amazing
Mhm.
material that you can utilize. Can we use Zoom
Yes,
chat?
Joan, you can do it, but you are not then opting for the 300 super dollars that Sunshine is gonna give you as a main price.
Yeah. So you can participate in the Epi to Analytics challenge with only the native visuals. You're more than welcome to do it. If you want to participate in the mini challenge, which is a sub challenge basically, then you do need to have at least two Zoom charts visuals. But remember, you don't have to pay for those visuals or anything. You need to get a developer's license, and that is free.
Remember, you only need to use two visual, social visual per page. So I
Yeah.
will give you a go because you got the $300, that's dollars. Okay, that is better than a course of 270, although these courses are really good. So it depends what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If I can, I will go for both.
Why not?
But yes, you can only use native visual. Amazon, the 300 is an Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
Yes, one per challenge. That is the question, Leila. And there is a limitation on number of reports for FP20. In a challenge, you only can submit one. If not, you will be in an unfair advantage. Now, if you have five and another person has one, okay, will be no fair.
Yeah.
But if you change your name and I don't know, hey,
What are the criteria for choosing the best report for the mini challenge Zoom charts? For the Zoom charts mini challenge, if you go to challenge page, I don't have it open. Let's go challenge. Let's go FP20 analytics. Right here, there's a page judging criteria and explains the main three categories and the subpoints that we're going through when evaluating the reports.
Alexander, that's my friend, Alexander. um, there is a criteria and then there is the personal judging of the judges. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
I have different tastes than perhaps Avis or you or my guest judge. So you need to play with that. Yes, you might think that this report is beautiful, and I might think, well, it's not that beautiful. I prefer the other one. So sometimes there is a little bit of not clashes, but you need to take into account also the personal light of the people judging your report outside what is the normal, it's properly created, it's aligned, it have the right number, and so on. So expect a little bit of, well, I like this more than the other just because it's my taste. Okay?
Absolutely.
I try to be
Just to,
clear about that.
yeah, because I mean, the perfect example with this, for example, would be, let's say, this example, right? You can see there's 10 pixel space here on the side, so the 10 pixels are everywhere. If you have to be 10, 11, and 9, somebody might notice and be like, okay, that's fine. But
Mhm.
trust me, there's
Yeah.
that one person always who sees those pixels and be like, I can't look at it straight because it's me. And because of that, everything else kind of follows with it, right? Sure, the technical things are universal, but the things that are regarding design, the sort of streamlined layout of things and so forth, it all is taken into account, of course.
Mhm. And before we go, because I think Alessandra is gonna kill us very soon, is that guys participating in challenges. gave me the opportunity to be where I am today. I study sociology and European studies, nothing with numbers. I hate numbers, or I used to hate numbers. Okay. During COVID 19, I started doing Power BI and data analysis. And thanks to participating in challenges, I became somehow popular within the community. Because of this little popularity, guys, I work for Enterprise DNA, Lumel, okay, Buzz, Dogman, only a month. Do you know Buzz? I worked for him for a month. Okay, who else I work for? I work for another consulting company in the UK, and now I am with Iberus, one of the biggest Spanish data consulting company. And everything, okay, because of the challenges. Because my name started to popping up because I participate in any challenges I could as a way for me to get better, to improve, and to learn. So I will not doubt it.
Absolutely.
Time to
All right.
say goodbye, I think, Avis.
Yeah, I think we did a lot of explanations, a lot of samples, and everything that were shown today. From our side, probably the only thing that we can really say is good luck in the challenges. And we're looking forward to submissions and seeing all of you again on the 29th or 30th of September, 30th of September, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be the top five announcement. But yeah,
Okay, guys.
thank you everyone so much for
Thank
your
you very
time
much.
and see
Bye
you
bye
next
now.
time.
Bye.
Bye.
How do I leave? Here.